So often the question is, can you build an ISO, and grow it and then start building another ISO and then build another ISO? And well, we have lots of partners that have started multiple payments businesses over the years. And we're going to talk to one particular partner here who has not only started as a first ISO, but is now with another group of people starting a second ISO. And we're going to talk about that, what he's learned, how he's growing that. But the first thing we got to do is make sure we bring all the best people on the screen. And before I introduce the guests in the lower right-hand part of the corner, let me introduce the people that are a regular part. In the upper left-hand screen, we're playing a little tic-tac-toe with four. I don't know how that works because we all win. But Mr. Mike Stetzel. Mike, how are you, and how are things in Warsaw, Indiana, as we are rapidly, we got, a week and a half till Labor Day, and which Labor Day falls on September 1st this year. Just boom, right into fall. How are you, sir?
It is. Very well, very well. Warsaw's doing well. Little cloudy today, but this family's heading out to a family reunion this weekend. Going to do a little camping. Very fortunate to have some friends we sold our camper to, and they're letting us borrow it back for the weekend. So that's our excitement this weekend. But yeah, excited for this kind of kickoff of office hours, where we're going to learn a little bit about some of our partners and how they do business, and hope that it lends something to what you all are doing out there.
Mike, you couldn't have put it better. That's exactly what we're trying to do. Make sure that our partners are learning from our partners. That really is the best way for us to learn. But we also need to learn the systems, and Mike and Jenny do a great job. Jenny, now almost 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks removed from running 100 miles.
Yep.
How are you feeling? How are things? Are you all ready back? And have you scheduled your next 100-mile race?
The planning has begun for sure. I just love that kind of stuff. Right. Set your goals, you meet them, and then what's next? So that's definitely where I'm at in my head right now as I start to recover and start to kind of be able to move around like a normal person, thinking about what's to come for sure.
Perfect. And the newcomer on the screen on the bottom right-hand corner coming from Tampa Bay, Florida, Mr. Dave Orologio. Dave, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Let's start with just the basics. Where are you originally from? Where'd you grow up? And then I'm just going to start with the first question. How'd you find this thing called merchant services? And Dave, it's great to have you on here today.
Nate, thanks for having me on. Nice to see you, Jenny, and Mike as well. And how did I get into payments? I was directed to PayProTec specifically through a colleague of mine in the space. And I got here kind of by accident. Payments was not the first thing on my mind. I found payments through just looking for opportunities online when I was leaving telecom. And it's the best point of direction that I got was finding PayProTec.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that. And Dave, this doesn't have to be a hype session on PayProTec, though we certainly appreciate the compliments, but we're looking forward to learning from you. I think what's interesting is, Dave, when you first found it, I've learned a little bit of your story and getting to hang out with you over the last couple of years. Like when you first found it, was it like for me, when I started working for PayProTec in 2012, I didn't really, until I started working, I didn't know exactly how this industry worked, and that I just assumed you signed up with MasterCard and Visa, and that's how you took this. Did you know it existed, that this industry and the residuals and the bonuses and the processors all existed? Or was it, as you were moving in out of telecom, it was just kind of like, oh, wow, this is something and an opportunity?
I knew a little bit about payment processing. I first of all, I should say that I didn't start with PayProTec. I was introduced to some other processors, some other ISOs, companies that facilitate payment processing between the merchants and the processors that are out there. And I did not know much about the space or the programs or how anything really worked, but I understood that this was a service that was widely used. I heard that there was a very good opportunity to make a lot of money in this space, and that's all I needed to hear to open the book on payments and learn more.
Yeah. I mean, Mike and Jenny, this is kind of new for us as we're interviewing one of our partners, so jump in whenever you want to. But Mike, and I don't know if I've asked either of you this question. I know, Mike, when you jumped in, you were moving out of hospitality for
Yeah.
working there. And Jenny, you've been in payments longer than any of us on this. But did you know payments existed when you first started working at TMS or started working at PayProTec? I'll go, Mike.
No,
Yeah.
Not really. I mean,
no.
my daughter had interned for PayProTec, and so I knew it existed. And the story she said about it, because obviously Matt Hoskins was telling her, "Hey, man, we do X amount of business here. We have 700 employees or whatever." At the time he was talking about obviously our 1099 sale. I'm like, out of that little building? Wait, I don't get it. So I just, okay. And all of a sudden I'm having conversations with Matt. So no, I didn't have an understanding of the depth of it by any means.
Yeah. And I mean, and Jenny, you've been in this long. You didn't know it. And I think that I was trying to think, I don't think I've met anyone who had a long-term, but as soon as they find out this exists and they have if they're a natural sales, they're like, man, I want to be involved in this and somehow, because we see the opportunity, we see the growth, we see the fact that it's a lifetime residual, it's an asset you can sell. Dave, what were the things that most drew you into it as you started to learn that this was something that you wanted to turn more into a career and into building businesses and not going back and selling telecom or long distance services and other things that you were doing?
It was my first real opportunity at creating my own business, working for myself, being able and fortunate enough to find the partners that I have. It allowed me to create my own destiny in this payment space, and I had no idea how long I would be in it. I couldn't see then what I see now of where this would have went. But I don't know. Hopefully that answers your question. It's a lot to put into one statement.
Yep.
But
no, that's good. And we'll just keep asking questions. And Mike and Jenny, I'm going to let you guys jump in, and because I want this to be a team effort of getting the best information out of Dave. But I mean, this is a business where you can build a business, and there are a lot of things where there aren't a lot of overhead. There's, you can start with zero, and you can invest time. You don't have to invest money to get started. Mike, Jenny, who wants the next question?
I have a question, Dave.
Yep.
What are 2 to 3 factors that you consider have helped you become as successful as you are? Like if you could pick like 2 or 3 points, what has really helped you gain the success that you have in your growth?
Okay, so the people that I work with, my partners, quasi partners, just the people around me, have helped tremendously shape the company, shape the brand, and allow us to keep moving forward up and to the right. I'd say that's number one. Number two would be, I know you don't want me to make this about PayProTec, but after seeing what other companies were out there, and I'm not saying anything's wrong with any of these companies, but I was given a different type of treatment and hands-on holding, at least during the beginning phases of my career here at PayProTec. And the pay, the support, the customer service, the fact that everyone over at this company answered my 4,000 phone calls a day, that means a lot to me. So it allows me to continuously be able to handle any issues in real time, put them to rest before the end of the day in most cases, and allow me to keep scaling and growing. And the third, I would say, is knowing what we're selling, knowing what's in it for our merchants. I really believe in what we do and the programs that we offer, and most importantly, the education that we try to provide to all merchants. As this industry constantly changes and evolves, I'm really big on helping the merchants understand what this is, how it's going to benefit them, how to properly implement whatever it is that we're talking about, and ultimately being there for any and every question that they have. I personally try to still answer every phone call as much as I can.
All right, Mike, you got a question before I jump back in?
Yeah, I do. So, we're talking about in the subject of the title of our episode today, spinning plates to get confirmations with Dave Orologio. Is the confirmations a term that you use, Dave? Or was that Nate's?
That was no that we got to give credit to
Josh's,
David Lindquist on that, or Josh. I'm not sure who
Okay.
did that. So, but
Okay.
so unless they got that from Dave and I didn't know that, so just making sure.
All
But
right.
I like.
I'm not
Thanks for
gonna use
reading the
that as my
title. The title. I
question.
actually didn't read the title, so good job, Dave.
You're
Mike.
very welcome. I like the term. I'm like, well, that's something he uses maybe. So here's a fun one. What was your first deal?
So my first deal was with another company when I first left a training class, 8 years ago. And him and I, if he's watching this, you know who you are, went out blind with no marketing, no insight on this industry, and really like no formulated pitch, but we sold ourselves. It was a mechanic shop and a marketing agency. They do banners, mugs, promotional marketing, and we cold door knocked both of those locations. They were close to each other, and I said, "Why don't I take this one? You take the next one, and let's not leave the field until we've closed these two deals for each of us today." And that's what we did. So those were the two sales. That's how we started this business, and I'm still here today. From there.
And I think that's a perfect example for a lot of people who that we talk to. I talk to a lot on a daily basis that are new to this, and that's that first hurdle for them. And so I like hearing that you left this training class, which had obviously given you some knowledge, like you said. And I
Yeah.
think there's a fear for people that they need to know everything about every term. And I'm not making fun of that because I'm not too far from being that guy. But in reality, selling yourself is really the most important part, getting some trust and you go from there. So I love the example of, hey, you know what? I finished my training. Let's get to work. And I hope that people can use that for themselves to give them that extra push out the door. I love it.
I like.
Thanks.
Dave, I'm going to ask this question, and I think so. You have two ISOs that you're currently building. You have Switch to Save and Care Payments Group, and we'll kind of walk through both of those. But your first was Switch to Save. I think that was that your first name that you chose to sell under? And kind of when was the tipping point in your business when you started putting together, man, I'm going to start building this so it's under a brand that I'm building, a name that I'm building. I'm going to put you've brought a team of people together. How did you make those decisions as you were growing this back when you were living in New York?
Okay, so Switch to Save, the name came out of nowhere, to be honest with you. I was in another training class, telecom related. I knew I was on the way out, and I always had this saying in my head, switch to Verizon, switch to Charter, switch to this. Merchants were always switching, or clients were switching, typically to save money. So I don't know, the term switch to save popped in my head one day. And I knew that telecom was on its way out for me, and I got the itch when I started looking into the payment space, and made my first deal, and then that led to another one, and then the I guess the quest for who are the best processors? Where should I be placing this book of business as it grows? And I thought Switch to Save was a great company name, a brand that I could build, and almost like a double entendre. Like hi, I'm Dave with Switch to Save. Well, what do you do? Who are you here with? What are we saving? What are we switching? So that's how the name came to be, and it stuck. It was catchy for me, at least, and I still like it enough today that it's still the name of the business, and we're building all the branding around that. And then fast forward, maybe 6-7 years later, I meet another gentleman in the space at another industry event who heard about what I was doing in the retail restaurant space with the programs like dual pricing and cash discounting. And he was in a different field altogether. One I knew nothing about, but he clearly knew what he was doing in that space. And I said, I don't know how that conversation came to be, but we kind of sat in front of each other and said maybe this is something we can do together in a different space. And he kind of brought me into his world. I took whatever I knew from retail and restaurant, and I said, I don't see why this wouldn't apply to what you're doing. And fast forward now almost 2 years, and we created Care Payments Group. And we deal with dental, vision, chiropractic, anything in the medical space for payment processing and eliminating those fees for those merchants. And it's been phenomenal. And I should say that I kind of switched to save my partners, Craig Pearson, with Kevin and myself. And I have, my own marketer, Jerome, as well, who has helped tremendously, at least with my brand. And my goal was to fuse everyone that I've been with and bring them all together. And let everybody work together to grow something much bigger than just Switch to Save or Care, but a team. And I'm all about a team. And I think I have the best one.
I like that. And I bring all four of us up. And I'll out Kevin Lashley that says Dave O is the GOAT. He was out there. And just so you know, Kevin, you're on this list. You're going to get interviewed at some point. So don't run too far away. You may get asked at our 4:00 meeting later today. But Dave, one of the things I didn't actually share this, so I'm going to ask for a little vulnerability that I didn't tell you I was going to ask for. But what is something that you look back after, I think last 7 years as you've been kind of moving and building these businesses and developing, what are some things that happened or something that you said, man, I wish if I had done this differently, I wouldn't have had this headache, and that would help someone else who's jumping into this business? Are there any things that stand out there and like, man, if I wouldn't have done this, if I'd learned this faster, it would have been easier?
Oh, Nate, you don't want me to talk about that.
Okay.
I'm very vocal. No, I'm just kidding around. You learn in this business to continuously tighten loose ends. I wish I knew a lot. I wish I knew certain departments better than I do at this point. I wish I could just call the speed dialed numbers that would help me just kind of get from 0 to 100 a lot quicker. But I also understand that every business has a process and a hierarchy, and sometimes it's better to let certain people in certain roles pull those strings, because what I see from my perspective is not the grand scheme of everything. So to answer that question, there are a million things I wish I could do, snap my fingers and problem solved. But I will say, when I take 5 steps back, that everything that I do know that has been given to me, facilitated for me, Jenny actually does a bunch of that. Not as much as Jason Lee does, because that's how I started out my relationship with my relationship manager. But Jenny has definitely been a focal point in a lot of the facilitation, even general things statement wise that I didn't know or wouldn't be able to pick up on as quick. She's been able to point out in 2 seconds, hey, what's this? You need to go and resolve that. So I guess over time you learn from everyone around you. I've learned a ton from Kevin. I've learned a ton from Craig, and even Pearson throughout the years. But it's hard to put my finger on just one, because so many things continuously pop up that need to be navigated, handled, and essentially answer to the question.
All right, Mike, Jenny, who's got the next one?
I kind of want to go a little bit to echo what you were saying, Nate. I'm kind of curious. So if you're talking to somebody, Dave, who's like brand new to the industry, maybe they're like just coming off of telecom or some other sales, what advice would you give them? They're just starting out. They're brand new. They want to be cool like you, right? And grow like your company. Is there any advice that you'd give to somebody who's brand new in the industry?
Yeah, don't stop. Whatever you do, if you get involved in this industry and you're fortunate enough to be involved in the right company to back your vision and how long you want to be in this and how big you want to grow in it, do not give up. This industry is tough for the first 3 months. It's not for everyone, but for those that want to excel in it, want to be their own boss, want to work their own schedule, want to be accountable for their own actions, and want to make a lot of money, you can't give up. You have to truly learn as much as you can. I think people buy from people they like, and you need to show up. If it's not at a trade show, then it's at every door. If it's not at every door, it's in every email. Whatever it is, the law of average does exist. That's what I've been following for a very long time, and I try to put myself in, I guess, in front of as many opportunities as I can, based on whatever vertical I'm attacking. And I've done the door-to-door thing. I've been lucky enough to be introduced to the trade show game. I've been introduced to the email and social media marketing. And regardless of what outlet I've chosen, you really do have to stick it out and give it that 3 to 6 months of head down, do whatever we got to do, and come out the other side to see why this was all worth it in the first place.
Awesome. I like that. Mike, get your next question ready, but I'm going to jump one kind of there. As you put your head down, you show that grit, that grind just to keep it going. Dave, how have you learned to set goals and understand and set goals that are achievable, but also help you stretch? And how has that changed over the last several years as you're like setting those goals? So what kind of goals are you setting? How are you setting them? And how has that changed over the several years you've been in this industry?
I have a board in my room, and all of our goals for the business, for all the businesses, go up on that board. Some people have a notepad, some people use their computer, their email, however you do it. I write them all down. So the goal is to continuously grow. That might mean 3 new deals a month or 5 new deals a month. What kind of deals? At what profit margin? Are they POS? Are they standalone terminals? Are they medical? What is it? So we collectively come together based on the business or the vertical that we're part of, and we will together come to a agreement of, yes, we need 10 new deals this month, $150,000, $200,000 in volume by the end of this quarter, whatever it is. It's hard to give you it with all these different businesses at once. They vary, but we do write everything down. We do discuss what's needed to keep moving up and to the right. It's the way I look at business. Never backwards, always forward, and keeping the communication open with everybody who's involved. It's not just my vision; it's a group vision. We all want the same thing, so we try to keep all of us accountable for whatever we do best for the business.
All right, Mike, you got the next question?
Yeah. And I don't know all the background as to how you moved from New York to Florida, but I feel like Long Island versus, Tampa is a switch. What changed for you?
Sure was a switch.
Yeah.
What changed for me? Location change. I guess the pace of life where I am here in Florida, in Tampa, it's definitely a little bit slower than New York. New York was a lot faster, quicker decisions. I was used to people just saying yes and no right on the spot, a little bit more blunt about their thoughts and feelings about either the program or whether it's the right time or not for a switch, whether they're saving enough or they're happy. We were moving through business a lot faster, I think, in New York. coming to Florida, people stopped and actually had a conversation. That also meant that they took a little bit longer to make a decision. So I had to adjust my own
Mm-hmm.
temperament and, you know, how fast I was typically used to moving through conversations to mirror the type of clientele I was dealing with out here. But at the end of the day, people sign up in every state. Doesn't matter where you are. I've been part
Yeah.
of sales in Pennsylvania, and Philadelphia, New Jersey. Craig and I have been all over New York City. I've seen Miami, Boca Raton, Tampa, and even California. And at the end of the day, merchants in all of these states sell the same way. They have the same objections, the same concerns, the same validations. So, just it's still business as usual. Just the climate's a little bit different.
So again, before the show, we were talking about, it's been maybe nearly 5 years since you made the move. And again, you make the move and you stepped out and went to work. I like to use these examples, the two things that you said that I've locked in on, just to show people that, like what you just said, merchants are merchants. Yes, there's some cultural differences, and as somebody in the chat mentioned, tax differences between New York and Florida, but selling is selling. And so you stepped right out and went to work, started, and now you've gotten into other businesses with other people from across the country. So again, make the step, always be moving forward, just like you said. Again, thank you, Dave, man. Good insights.
Thanks, Mike.
Dave, it's been fun to watch you as you and Kevin have built Care Payments Group and the team there. I've had the pleasure of being at a couple of your trade shows and helping in the background there. What has been, because Switch to Save is kind of your more traditional payments business. It's a lot of door to door, a lot of the networking, a lot of brick and mortar, and then Care Payments Group is focused mostly on medical, eye care, dental care. What are the differences between those two types of businesses as you've built them out, and why do you think it? How are they alike and how are they different?
So Switch to Save is definitely all retail, restaurant, business to business, nothing to do with medical. Not only I, but Kevin also and Craig wanted the separation because we don't want to bleed one into the other.
Yeah.
What was the second part of your question? I'm sorry, Nate.
Yeah, no, just like how are they alike and how are they different? Like, because obviously they all take credit cards, but they do it differently. And how are the sales processes, are they different when working with professional groups like dental and eye care locations where you're just focused on that versus where you're doing retail, auto, restaurants in the Switch to Save world?
So I would say that the medical is definitely not an easier, maybe it is an easier process. There's not as many moving parts, at least compared to like POS, for instance. Even down to the amount of hardware that goes out, it's to the point. We help medical merchants eliminate their credit card processing costs. It's really that simple. We have a phenomenal offer. People love the program. They love what we have to offer at the shows. And it's a quick 1, 2, 3. I like it. It makes sense. I've got nothing to lose. Let's go ahead and sign up. And that's it. These people don't really go anywhere. We offer a next level type of customer support and personalized service. That's why, in my opinion, that's why our attrition is what it is and why we do so well in that space. I think we do just as well in our retail and restaurant side of the business. We have Pearson who handles, a lot of the facilitation personally, the onboarding, the walking that customer, holding their hand from start to finish. Craig has done an amazing job being in the face of Switch to Save out in the field, and one call comes in, there's a problem. 8 minutes later, he's in the location fixing the problem. You don't see that a lot in in a lot of these businesses that exist. They get to a certain point, they're making enough money, and they start to outsource some of that personalization, that, don't worry, we'll take care of it type of approach. We haven't. So everyone um, does whatever they have to do to make it feel like, we are truly there for them. We're holding their hand, and they sign up because of us at the end of the day. Whether complicated process or simplified process, medical, retail, they're buying us. They always have bought us. People buy from people they like. I think everyone likes everyone on our team, and that's why we're successful across the board.
All right, one last question for me, and then I'll let Mike and Jenny have any questions they may have. But as you've gone through this journey of building Switch to Save, now building Care Payments Group, doing that together, what are tools, resources, people that have been really important? You've kind of glimpsed it a little bit, but what are some of the things that have been really helpful to you that might be helpful to others who are starting along journeys of building their own payments business?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're probably hearing that. Hold on one second.
It's a merchant calling with a little support. We know how it's working. So
tools. I like using AI. I've been using.
Uh-oh.
You get to take that call, evidently.
Yep. The iPad. Yep. The iPad took the because you're on your iPad. It took over. All right. Back to you, Dave. You're live.
I'm sorry, guys. 1 sec. We'll keep calling.
That's the work of I've
used the AI a lot. It's helped me tremendously. Jerome's helped a lot also with building the brand, the social media videos, the outreach, the constant in your face, not ads, but I guess presence of a local company that's constantly, on your screen, scrolling throughout the day. Trying to think what else has really, learning how to use the portal, learning how to systematically automate as much of the processes that exist in my day-to-day operations has been instrumental. Not all of that really breaks down to tools being used, but more method and modalities to get to problem solved onto the next. So I guess AI and ChatGPT and some of those softwares and programs that exist have definitely helped me automate some of the process that I used to do on my own or without the help.
All right, Mike and Jenny, who's got their last question?
I got another question.
All right, go for it, Jenny.
So we've been talking a lot about how you've gotten to where you are and tools and obstacles. I'm curious as well, what does your day-to-day look like? It's a Monday morning, waking up, getting to the work. What does your main workflow look like? Do you reach out to merchants? Do you talk to your team first? What does your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, so day to day, I wake up and I try to get whatever personal things I have going on in my inbox, things I need to catch up on, emails out of the way first thing in the morning. Around between 9 and 10, I switch over to Switch to Save. And I usually have a morning call with Craig or Pearson or both. Kevin's on West Coast time, so I have a few hours before I have to get into that conversation. So we have an opportunity in the morning to go over whatever needs to be discussed, anything that needs to be handled, machines that need to be returned, file builds that need to go on certain accounts, swaps that have to happen, bank change, whatever is going on for that day, we discuss that morning. And then throughout the day, as they either get handled or if we run into any issues, we'll pick back up where we started. But I try to get everything we need to discuss and hopefully handle out of the way on that first morning phone call. And that stems into our payroll, whatever it is, we typically start our day off with a morning call.
And that's every day.
Most day, yeah, pretty much every day.
Okay.
There's really not a day that goes by where we're not doing that. It's a little bit more every day for me and Craig because retail is an everyday thing, knocking on doors every day. That could change in medical, but right now, the medical end is more trade show. It's more in blocks of time and parts of the year where it's a little bit more crazier than other parts. But I guess my morning call with Kevin would be, at around 12, 1 o'clock. Possibly some days we'll go without having to check up every day. But again, it's a different type of business. It's structured different. But anyone that knows me or works with me, typically gets a call once a day. It's just kind of have to keep in touch with your partners and know what's going on, even if there's nothing going on.
All right, Mike, you got a final question?
Sure, I do. So, what do you do for fun?
I've
had some fun with you, but besides coming to PayProTec meetings.
And I'll add into that. How do you balance? Because we know as how I've watched your grind and your grit, and you're responding to merchants quickly, and you're on. How do you find balance in life when a merchant might call you at 2 a.m. because they can't close out their bar?
I don't shut off. That's how I do it. I've learned to mentally compartmentalize the work that needs to be done to sustain, I guess, the quality of life that I've built for myself up until now. So if it requires me to answer the phone at a later point in the evening, so be it. I try to make up for the amount of time I put on the clock, which is to be honest with you, it's an all day, 24-hour a day thing for me, but I'm okay with it for now. Like, it's something I don't mind, which might sound crazy to other people, but it's not crazy for me because everything is typically a 3 to 5 minute phone call. As long as you know what you're looking for, it's always, okay, we'll take care of it. And it's usually taken care of. So I try to, what's the word I'm looking for? I try to make up for it with trips. I like to go away with my wife. I like to go and enjoy even, the time away with you guys. We try to get to Europe. We try to do, Mexico, whatever we can do to have our alone time or my time away from work. I replace that with time away for me and my family. And we've made that a annual, yes, I work really hard during the year and possibly even on vacation to some degree, but I look back at the type of life I'm able to have and what we're able to do. And I'm honestly, I'm blessed and fortunate that if the worst part of my day is answering the phone more than I'd like to, that's okay. It's something I'm okay doing.
And I will say, for things that he does for fun, my favorite was, I think it was a FaceTime I did with you. Maybe we were on Zoom. I don't remember exactly, but he's overlooking where you were in Italy. I forget exactly where. You're overlooking the water. It's beautiful, but you're also doing work. So you're kind of mixing your work and play are intertwining at the same time. Your travel. I like that.
Yeah.
So. All right, so I'm going to have Jenny give us our closing word in just a moment here. But Dave, thanks so much for joining us today. What we're trying to do over the next several weeks is kind of give everybody just a little glimpse of how everybody builds their business and their payments business a little differently, how they get started to how they grow to how they sustain. And we're going to try to cover as many different aspects of this over the next coming weeks. And one of the things I want to bring up is, like, Dave met, I think this is correct, Dave. Correct me if I'm wrong. You met your business partner, Kevin, at Western States, at WSAA, together with the PayProTec event and time we were all getting together. Right? Is that correct? That was your first time meeting?
Yeah, we met at one of those events, and cordial conversation. We were not prying into each other's business. It was more or less we were having an open conversation about what we both do in our own verticals, and I think we just hit it off. There was a good chemistry and connection, and it led to, I think I could work with you, and would you like to come and build something with me? And I think we were both looking for the same thing at the same time. And if we were not sitting in that room together, I don't think that ever would have happened. So that truly happened on its own. You never know who you're sitting next to or in front of. There's opportunities always like everywhere around you.
Awesome. Well, I bring that up because we're not very far off from WSAA, September 6th through 8th. We sent out an email yesterday. If you're going to be in the area or you're able to get over there, please let us know. We're going to put some dinners together, make sure we're doing meetups. We have nothing formal other than we have our booth and we're there at this particular show this year, but we want to interact. So whether you're a current partner, a partner who hasn't done business with us a long time, or just someone who's considering PayProTec, reach out to us. Email me at nate@payprotec.com. Jenny's going to be there. Jason Lee's going to be there. Danny's going to be there. Josh. There's 5 of us going to be there. Come and hang out with our partners, meet new partners, and then all of our vendors and vendor partners are going to be there. It's also a great time in Scottsdale, Arizona, the 8th through the 10th, and the 9th and the 10th is the conference. So can't wait to be there. Jenny, what's our closing word for the day?
First off, thank you, Dave, so much for joining us today. This has been a lot of fun and really just getting to know the details, about who you are, how much you've grown, where you're headed. Like, it's fantastic. And I really think that's inspiring to everybody else watching, that there's opportunity everywhere out there. You just got to look, right? Whether you are brand new to the game or you have a lot of experience, payment processing, everybody uses credit cards, especially, right? Like, when you started, Dave, 8 years ago, like it's everywhere. So don't give up. Keep on doing those sales and keep on coming back here to these shows. We got all kinds of advice for you. It's going to be some fun guests coming up. So definitely stay tuned. Hope everybody has a great rest of your day.
Awesome. On behalf of Mike Stetzel, Jenny Rickle, I'm Nate Manahan. Thank you, Dave Orologio, for joining us on this episode of Office Hours. We'll be back next week, right around noon Eastern time, right here on our YouTube channel. See you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.